Hello, everyone, and welcome to Power Hour. I'm Laura Rogers, and this is Joelle Jobson. Today's topic is going to be how to create different types of alerts and notifications in Microsoft 365, SharePoint, Microsoft Lists, OneDrive. And so there are several different methods. There are alerts, there are rules, there are flows you can create. There are all these different ways to be notified about something changing or something being added anywhere in Microsoft 365. So we're going to go over, mainly geared towards SharePoint and lists, we're going to go over all these different methods today. So welcome, and I'll go ahead and do the stinger. Okay, so welcome to Power Hour. Again, this is a show we do Wednesdays at 11 Central. We've been doing this for about 10 years. And we have live chat going on. We have Microsoft Teams where we log in, and it's very fun and lively, and you never know what's going to happen. So we have live chat going on where people can ask questions and have fun discussions. We all kind of get to know each other. And if you have never joined before, there's a link at the bottom of wherever you're watching this video to click to request to join, because then we have to add you, like invite you into Teams. And so Teams is where we're having our chat. So you all voted. I send out a newsletter the day before and you vote on what the topic's going to be. Today's topic is this alerts and notifications. So let me go. I actually did a slide this time. It's not very common. Let me go ahead and share my screen. I moved you on the screen share, Joelle. You're over sort of on the right side. I keep trying to decide like the best place to put you, because like sometimes like the menus at the top are very important and we need those and we need to be able to see them in demos. So, and then there's stuff going on at the bottom, like in YouTube, it puts little blurbs at the bottom. So I'm trying to put you like in a good spot that's going to be like not in the way of anything that we're demoing. Okay. Not that you're in the way. We've worked together for what, like 12 years or so now? It's been a long time. She's used to me. Okay, so let's go ahead, and this is our site. So everybody that is in Power Hour that you've joined and you're chatting with us, this is actually the Power Hour site, and you all have access to it too. So this is where we do a lot of our demos. So this is where I'm going to start showing you all the different things that we'll do with the alerts today. So here is covering a little bit of what we're going to be talking about. It's going to be, oh, my head is in the way. Get out of the way here. We're going to talk about alerts, rules, and flows. Now, there are a lot of different places where we can create these. So Microsoft lists are actually SharePoint lists, and then libraries are in all of your SharePoint sites. And then OneDrive is actually also SharePoint. And then pages are in SharePoint too. So I could have just put SharePoint, but a lot of these technologies, especially for people that are new to Microsoft 365, they all have different nomenclature. So it's not necessarily obvious that all these are SharePoint, but yeah, this is SharePoint alerts and rules. And then the very last thing we'll talk about is Microsoft 365 notifications, which Microsoft 365 has some notifications just built in that are, they're not specifically in SharePoint in the lists and libraries, but I'll show you where you can find those. So go ahead and go back to our site. So the first thing we'll talk about is alerts. So alerts they exist in lists and libraries and OneDrive, again, because OneDrive is SharePoint, and they can be created at several different levels. So let's go ahead and take a look at where those are. So I'm going to go to our library. So this is just the default document library that exists in every team site that you create, just called documents. So I'll just start with that. And at the top of any, let me make sure I'm zoomed in. Good enough. Let's see, 150. Yeah, that's good. Okay. At the top of every list and library, you'll have this little ellipsis, and it's right here. So it just says alert me. So your alerts that you create are for you. So each person can create whatever alerts they want. So when I click alert me, it's got my name. Now, if I am an admin. So if I'm an owner on the site, if I have like a higher level of permission on at least that list or library that I'm on, then I have the ability to add other people here. So I can put Joelle. I can even put the name of a group here. Let's see if I know the name. Not sure if I know off the top of my head a name of a group in this domain. Let's see. Well, here are a lot of, these are even external users in here, but it even has like, these are members of just a member group from another site. So you could add people and groups here. Now, when you add people here, whoever you add to set up this alert is going to immediately get a notification. So alerts, the purpose of alerts is going to be to get notified when something gets added, deleted in that specific list or library that you are on. So there is not a way to just create an alert. This is one of the most common questions. There's not a way to just in one fell swoop create alerts for yourself for every single piece of content on a site. You actually have to go to every separate list and library and go to this screen to say alert me and create your own alerts. So users can create their own alerts and owners, admins can create alerts for other people. But as soon as you create alert, just again, know that whoever you create the alert for is immediately going to get an email letting them know that an alert's been created. So this is what you are going to call it. So the name, you don't have to change the name, but if I get an alert called documents, it's pretty generic. So I might want to make it a little more specific. I might want to say like new Power Hour documents or something like that. And you might want to name your alert something more specific to what you're being alerted about. So that, and because that's going to show up in the email that you receive. So if you start receiving a lot of alert emails and they all kind of look the same and you're not sure what they're from, it's up to you to create the alert title to kind of help yourself know what it's for. And then I don't have SMS or anything like that turned on in my tenant. So SMS is not an option for me. I don't think I've ever been in a tenant that had SMS turned on. Joelle, have you ever tried that setting with getting an SMS notification? Yeah. So it's going to just...
I think once.
Oh, really?
Like SharePoint 2000, in SharePoint like 2010, I think we
like, oh, wow.
tried it.
That's something you had to set up on the server, right?
Yeah.
Pretty complex. But yeah, it's just going to show you your email address and that's where the alerts are going to arrive. Now, this is where you can say what you want to be alerted about. So I just called this new Power Hour Docs because I just want to be alerted about new items that get added. So this is going to be where you decide. Now, you might start off with, I just want to be alerted about everything. And then you might be getting too many emails and you can go adjust it later. So this is where you can get very specific. Maybe you only want to be alerted about new items or only about existing items. So this is where you can decide that. But you can't pick two of these, but you can just create another separate alert. So if I want to be alerted only about new ones and deleted ones, I can just create one alert and call it new documents and create another alert and just call it deleted documents. So you're not really stuck there. You can just do it, do it twice. So I'm going to be alerted when new items are added. And then especially if you choose existing items, this is going to apply. So someone else changes any document. Someone else changes a document that I created, which I think is, a common thing you'd want to do. Or someone else changes a document that I last modified. So I didn't necessarily create it, but I'm the last person who made changes to it. Then you can, get alerted about those. So this way with alerts, you don't have to keep going back and checking SharePoint to see if that, that project file that you're collaborating on with your coworkers has been updated. You'll just get notified about it. So I'll say alert when anything changes, and I'm going to make it new. And then this is important because a lot of times people just leave it on send notifications immediately, and they'll get bombarded with notifications, especially if it's a library that's got a lot of files in the library that are being edited all the time by a lot of different people. You'll just get this barrage of alerts. And again, you can adjust them later. Every single alert email you're going to get is going to give you the ability to go back and change this or delete your alerts. So if you have a lot of files in that library, you might want to just narrow it down to get a daily summary, which will just let you know at, in this case, 10 a.m. at 10 a.m., I want just this email that's got a list of all the changes that were made. And again, in a minute, we're going to look at what that alert actually looks like so you can kind of get an idea of all the information that it'll give you. So I can say immediately, daily summary, weekly summary, click OK. And then as soon as I create the alert, it's going to send me an email. Cue the email. SharePoint's going to send me an email. This is my little fake, email account here. And it's usually pretty instantaneous. I've got sort of some other alerts in here, but I don't see it yet. But as soon as you create the alert, and if you create it for other people, everybody's going to get an email letting them know about the alert. And then it's going to have a link in the email to go back and modify the alert. So if you create an alert for somebody else, they can actually sort of unsubscribe from it. They can go change it and make it so that they don't receive the alert anymore. It doesn't have an unsubscribe button, but it actually gives them the ability to go back and modify. Because once you create the alert for somebody else, it's their alert. Let's see if I got it yet. No, that's weird. Actually, Outlook Online has been a little slow lately. Have you noticed that? It's like they actually had an outage the other day. Oh, here it is. Here we go. It was in my other tab here. This is what it looks like. Let me see if I can zoom in on this one. Oh, that's zoomed in as much as it's going to go. Okay. Okay, so that first email that you get, there isn't much to it. Sorry, it's kind of small. It just says the name of the alert. It says it's been created. It's got a link to the site where it was created, and it's even got a link to where it says My Alerts on this site. So when I click My Alerts on this site, I can see that I've created 2 alerts, and it shows me my alerts. Like this is the one I just created. This is another one. It says My Work. So after I've created it, this is what I can go back and change. I can change what it's notifying me about, how often it's coming, and I can also click delete over here and delete the whole alert. So that's what you'll be able to do on your alerts whenever you get them. So now I'll go ahead and I'll upload a file. Somebody else can upload a file. And you all feel free to upload files into this library. And then I'll go ahead and show you what that alert's going to look like. So I'm going to go to my little sort of demo content here, and I'll just drag this over here. So I just uploaded a file called Client Intake Form. And I'll do this on a list in a minute so that you can see what it looks like, especially when someone modifies something, because it gives you a lot of great information. So it's uploading this file. And I'm not sure why it took that long. And then let's go see, I probably got an alert. So it says, so here's the file I just put in there. And the alert hasn't arrived yet. Let me see. I did say immediately, so it's still just telling me. Okay, well, I'll just give it a minute. It's no big deal. Now, so that's how you can create alert just on a library. And let's go ahead and go to a list. This is the work progress tracker that we've been using for a lot of different demos, over time. This is a cool demo we did with formatting, weird ways to format columns. And I'll go to this list. Now, again, you always have to go to the ellipsis. I'm not sure why they hide it in here, but it is kind of tucked away in here. So you can click Alert Me, and that's where you create a new alert. And Manage My Alerts is going to be where you go to that screen I just showed you where you can delete them and change them. So I'll go ahead and click Alert Me about the work progress tracker. And I'll just say I want to be alerted about all changes and just someone else changes something that I last modified. And again, if you want to choose 2 different things here, all you have to do is create 2 different alerts. So you could just call it work progress tracker last, give it a description that makes sense as to what, specifically that you're being alerted about. Modifications. And I'll go to someone else changes an item last modified by me. Now, this one's interesting right here. So you're not going to see this last option in every single list that you go to. I've actually created a couple of filtered views in this list. And if you have filtered views in your list, this is going to give you an option to only be alerted about things that fall into that filtered view. So this is a kind of a funny story, because this right here, this filter alert on a filtered view, I think it was the very first blog post I ever wrote back in 2008. I think, like, if you go to wonderlaura.com and you scroll all the way to the beginning, like that, I wrote a blog post, because that's like a little tricky thing that's kind of hidden in there that, you know, not everybody knows about. So you can create alert based on a filtered view. For this one, I'll go ahead and just say someone else changes an item. And I'll just say immediately. And so now I've got an alert on this list. And so now when I go manage my alerts, it's not just showing me alerts for that one list. It's showing me all my alerts on this whole site. So you're not ever going to be able to necessarily go to a web page and see all of your alerts everywhere in SharePoint, but you can see it in Outlook. Now, I don't think I want to, let's see. I don't think that it exists in Outlook on the web. And I'm not gonna demo it on my actual Outlook. But when you go to Outlook client and you go to rules and alerts, just up in the menu, it's got alerts from SharePoint. And in Outlook, you can see one little screen that shows you a list of all the alerts you've created everywhere in SharePoint, every site, other clients you might be working, like, you know, other domains, your domain, anywhere in SharePoint, you're going to see a list of all of your alerts in one place in the Outlook client. Yeah, if y'all know of it existing in the web, I just don't think it does. It's kind of an old feature that I don't think they put in the web version of Outlook. But let me see. Let's see. Oh, here we go. So yeah, look at that. So I'm starting to get a bunch of alerts. So this is the one where I first created the alert. This is the client intake form that I added. So notice that it says title. I don't have any title or image tags on this document, but it's going to have a lot of metadata in the alert. And it's always going to be able to go straight to modifying all of your alerts and straight to the library. So it says view documents, and it will just navigate you to the library. So as sort of the SharePoint administrator, and you're in charge of SharePoint and everybody calls you for all your SharePoint questions. At least back in the day, I got lots of calls about people over creating alerts and not realizing all the emails they were going to get. And they would go in there and try to manage it. And they would accidentally create, instead of managing the alerts and deleting them, and they would accidentally create more alerts. So they just kept creating more alerts. And then they would call me to delete their alerts for them. But users can just delete their own alerts, and it even has it in every single email. So just so you know, if they start calling you and lighting you up about alerts, it always has modify alert settings, and all the end users can just do this themselves. All right, so that's the one I added. I can see that Annette added something. Got notified about that. Roberto, thanks for playing, adding things to the library for me. Now here, thanks Annette for making this change for me so that I could see it being modified in here. So this is great. So Annette has changed this item. So check it out. This is really cool. All right. Oh man, well, double click on it. It's tiny again. So we'll just look at it over here. Okay. So it's showing me every single piece of metadata in that item, all the columns. And look at this. It shows me exactly what she changed. This is huge. Right? This is great to know exactly what they changed. So it's not going to show you inside of a document or spreadsheet things that they change inside of it. It's just going to show you what they change as far as metadata. So this is way more useful for lists than it is necessarily for documents. But it says that she changed the priority from high to medium. Now you can always go back and look at this stuff in the version history, but it's really nice when you get the alert to immediately just be able to glance at it and know what they changed. So it says work notes, strike through completed tasks, blah, blah, blah. So that's what she changed in here. So somebody else wants to go make a change to one of my work progress tracker items, then I'll get another email for it. So it's funny that I actually got the email about her changing it before I got the email letting me know that, that I had created the alert. Pretty interesting, right? So when I say filtered views when I was showing you this other. Oh, if you add them from here, if I'm on the site, this page that has my alerts, I can add an alert from here. Just looks a little weird because it's got a whole list of all the lists and libraries in my site. And I have to pick which list or library that I want to, to get alerted about before I get to the screen that I showed you a minute ago with, picking, how you want to get alerted. So I'll just say all changes, blah, blah, blah. And now I've got that one listed here and I can just check the box and delete it. So let me show you this my work thing real quick. This is the, which list was this? Oh, it doesn't even show me. It doesn't show me what list it's for. That's interesting. Huh. So I'd have to go get an alert to know what this is a link to. So it doesn't, let me see. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily show me on that screen what a list of actually what the libraries and lists are for each alert. Okay, so this one is, let's see, the work progress tracker. I'm pretty sure it was the work progress tracker because it was called my work. So this is my view called my work. So what did I mean by a filtered view? This means that I created this view and I probably just created it in another demo that we did. And when I look at the filter, now the filters, I don't even have to go into the view settings because they've just done this in the last couple of weeks where they've added the filters to show right here at the top. If there's a filter on your list, you can immediately see it. So I've got my filter here. I'm not sure where Joelle went. She went, there you are. Okay, so here is my filter and it's just showing me my own items. So this is a filtered view. So because it is a filtered view that's only going to show a subset, it's only going to show me things that I created. Therefore, since this list has a filtered view, when I go here, that's why I'm going to see this little extra option here. Someone changes an item that appears in. So if somebody changes an item that appears in this filtered view, like if they change something that's in my low priority filtered view, I'll just get an email. So that's your way to get an alert about something specific. There's also a way to manage your alerts, and we have different levels of alerts. So I'll show you how to get to the screen where you can manage other people's alerts if you're an owner, admin type person. So if they call you and complain about all the alerts and you tell them how to modify their own, which then you're enabling them, but you can technically do it yourself. You don't have to tell them that you can do it. You tell them they have to do it. That's admin Laura coming out, things that I used to do. All right, I'm gonna go to site information. I like to empower my users so that they have to call me less, right? That's my motto when I was an admin. Alerts, there it is. User alerts right here in the site settings. So I went to site information, clicked all site settings. This is my site settings. I click on user alerts. You're only going to be able to get to the screen if you're an owner. And then the first thing you have to pick is the name of the user. So it looks like I'm the only person on this site that has created any alerts. So I can click on my name. So obviously you're going to have a list of all the people. If they haven't created an alert, their name's not going to be listed here. But you pick the person and then you click update. It's kind of an antiquated interface, isn't it? And then that's where, now as an admin, you can't modify other people's alerts. You can only delete them. So I can go like delete the ELF progress. So you can't go just change somebody's alert to alert them less frequently. They have to do that themselves, but you can just delete other people's alerts. Do we have any questions so far? Okay. Yeah, alerts are one of those things that kind of have been around for forever, like 15 years. So another thing that you can do is, see, I'm clicking on a folder here. I'll just go to like this. Let's see if there's anything in this one. Let me go to one that's actually got files in it. Oh, this one's got files in it. Test requests. So I can go alert me. And now I'm creating an alert for only the things in that folder. So if you have a giant library with hundreds of files in it and you want to be alerted about just this certain subset of files in a specific folder, you can create an alert at the folder level. And you can also create alert at the file level. So I'll go here and to this client intake form and say alert me. And then I can say someone else changes a document, someone else. So it's just for this one file. See, it'll say the actual name of the file here. And then I'll go ahead and create this for Joelle too, so I can show you what that looks like. So someone else changes this specific file. So if you and your coworkers, this is a great scenario, you and your coworkers are working on this file together, you're collaborating, taking turns. This is just a way that you have where you can be notified immediately when someone else makes a change to it, so you don't have to keep going back and checking it or asking them. You just get your alert, right? Is this new to anybody, or does anybody have any examples of do you use these a lot? I'm not sure. It's kind of tucked away, so I'm not sure if that's one of those things that people have started using less because it's just not the most obvious setting in there. I'll just say send me a notification immediately. And then I've created an alert for Joelle and for myself. So I go in here and that's the other alert I created. I can see that Annette changed this other item. Change it from critical to low. That's the thing she edited right there. And then I can see that she changed this one. She changed the cost from 77 to 177. Thank you, Annette, so much for helping with my demo. And then this one is has been changed from not started to in progress. Okay. So I created the one on that individual document. Oh, Lisa said I have a wish list for every Power App. Get notified when someone adds or edits an item in the file. Yeah. Okay, so I created an alert for that one specific file. I don't think I got the email about it yet. Let's see. Oh, Annette changed that one. Okay, let me see. I'll go make a change to it. I think, so even if I say I want to be alerted about all the changes, it still is going to alert me about my own changes. Now, in Microsoft Word, not in the online version, but in the on-prem version, if you need to know about changes in the file itself, that's a completely different thing. That's the review, the document compare changes setting that's in Word. Excel doesn't have such a setting, but in Word, when you go to the review tab, it's going to have compare changes, and you can actually pick previous versions and visually compare them to each other. It's just not in the web version. So I just changed this file, and I'll just go back and I'll just close it. And then, let's see, these alerts are just taking a minute. It's kind of slow. I'm not used to them being that slow. There's that one that Annette changed. So I really just kind of wanted to show you the email, what it looks like when somebody changes a file. So now it's showing my alert, letting me know that I created the alert. Yeah. So we'll give that a minute. So you can create them at all the different levels. So you can create them for the whole list or library. You can create them for a specific folder, for a specific item or file. So even an item like in a library, in a list, you can do it here on a list item. And you can do it for a filtered view. So a subset of items, like only the low priority tasks or something like that. So then that's alerts. Anybody have any last questions about alerts before I move on to rules? Okay. Oh, I love all these sort of suggestions and ideas and things that you do with alert. Oh yeah, Roberto, that's a great point. I was thinking I needed a flow and someone told me about alerts and it did the job. That is a great point. So when you think you need to go overly complicated and go create a flow and do all that and spend time on it, you might not need to. If you just tell the users that, hey, you can just be notified about anything, then just click and done, and now you have an alert, then that's a lot easier than like having to get involved, creating a flow, then having to manage the flow and make changes to it when they want to. That's a thing though about alerts. That's one of the negatives, is that you can't modify what it looks like. You get what you get. It tells you what was changed. It tells you, metadata that was changed, and it gives you a link to it, but there's not a way to modify the way it looks. So if you need to modify the way the email looks, you don't want an alert or a rule, you're going to want a flow. And we'll be able to, we've had probably at least 50 power hours about flows, but we'll go over that concept towards the end, because that's going to be, if you don't want to create an alert, you don't want to create a rule because you need to be able to not modify the email, that's when you're going to want to create a flow. Okay, so here in my work progress tracker, we actually did a whole separate power hour about rules, I think when they were fairly new, but now we're actually, we're comparing them to alerts. So here, let's talk about rules. So I've got automate here in every list and library, and rules. So I can create a rule and manage my rules. Now, rules are going to be slightly different than alerts. The rules emails are going to be way less useful than the alert emails. The rules email just say, here's a link to the thing. That's about it. Okay, so you get to be notified. Now these are actually more specific than alerts. So you get notified when a column changes, a column value changes, a new item gets created, an item is deleted. And then let's look at if it looks slightly different with a library. So with documents, when I go to automate, rules, create a rule, it's just got the verbiage is a new file is added, a file is deleted, as opposed to a row. So with a list, it's rows, and with a library, it's files. So it's almost exactly the same thing. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my work progress tracker because it's got a lot more metadata, and go to create a rule. So when I want to create a rule about a column changing, then I can pick which column it is. So this is definitely not something you get with alerts. So I can say, I want to know when the category changes and who do I want to send an email to. So you're going to be presented. Now, every list and library already has two people columns. It has created by whoever created the item and modified by whoever's the last person who changed it. And then you're also going to have here, you're going to have any other person columns that have been created in that list are going to be listed here. So I have an assigned to column for this work progress. They're all assigned to somebody. And then I have a person iterator. That looks like a column that I probably created in a previous demo trying to do something fancy. And then I can choose me here. So I'll just choose me. And then now that I've created a rule, now I'll have a list of all my rules here, and I can turn them on and off. And I can go back in and change them and delete them from here. Okay, and then let's go look at another one. I'll just go back to rules, column value. So this one gets a little more specific, right? So I can say when the priority is critical, send an email to. So then that's where I can get very specific about, so if these are critical priority work progress, you need to immediately send an email to whoever it's assigned to. Other than that, meh, they can go figure it out. So now I have two rules. I'll go say a new item. Now a new item is created. That's just pretty basic. I feel like I would rather create an alert for a new item being added, just because the alerts have a lot more information in the alert email. But this is just, we'll send it to whoever you want out of this list. Now, you can't put someone else other than what it's giving you here. So with the alerts, you can type other people's names, you can type group names, but with rules, you basically are picking from any of the people pickers in your list or yourself. And that's all there is to it. There isn't a way to just freeform type somebody else's name. We'll look at the other one, item is deleted. And again, when an item's deleted, I think I would rather create an alert for when an item is deleted, because with those you can maybe if you don't want it to arrive immediately, or if you want to have like a daily summary, just all the things that were deleted in that list or library, you can do that. And that it just gives you more information in the email with an alert. So this is another one that I think I'd rather use an alert for than a rule. So now I've created the rules. So now let's see what happens when I change one to critical. And these might be kind of slow like the other ones. Priority, critical, save. Let's test 1039. Let's see what that email looks like. Maybe it'll be faster than the other one. So this one is, so this is an alert on that same item, test 1039, when Annette changed it from in progress to behind. And then this one is another from Annette, changed it from in progress to behind. So then I'm just kind of waiting for the emails, the rules to send their email to me. But the rule emails are very, very ugly and basic. They're just basically like, this item fell under this rule. Here's a link to it. And there's no metadata or information, really much information in it at all. And it can't be changed at all. So that's another big negative to that one. And it also apparently takes a minute to arrive. Okay. So that's, and you kind of get to them in the same place, like alerts are here and rules are here. So they're kind of near each other, and but they look kind of different, and their interfaces for both of them are completely different. Alerts have got still that classic look to them. But again, I think they're both more useful in different ways, as you can see. As with a rule, you're getting very specific about some specific column value that you want to be notified about, like if something gets changed to high priority or something like that. And with alerts, it's more about like being notified about something being changed and who changed it and what they changed. All right. And then before I get into flow, I'll show you this other concept. Any last questions about rules, Joelle? I see some conversation going on here.
Yeah, John had asked if creating an alert, like a modification alert on a page library, so that when it was published, you would get an alert.
Yeah, let's do that.
And I think it would work. Yeah, I think it would work, but I haven't tested it.
Yeah, so I put that was one of the things that I listed here was pages. So let's go look real quick. Let's go look at OneDrive and pages before we move on. So we'll go ahead and look at pages since we're in SharePoint. So the way you can get to your site pages if you don't have a link to it anywhere in your navigation is you can just go to Site Contents, and then Site Pages is down here. And so if you want to be notified about something changing on a specific page, you can do Alert Me on it here. And then if you want to be just notified about every single thing being changed, every single page being changed, then I'll just say, do it here. So let's say I want to be notified about existing items being modified. Let's test out what you just said about a page being published. So I'll just say, send me a notification immediately. And okay, so now if I change a page, so this is going to be like I don't know what this, let me see, November news. No, that's a news page. I'll do file viewer test. And this is one where we were doing a demo of being able to select a file over here and then be able to see it on the screen. But this is a page. This is just a page. So I'll go ahead and change. I like the way they changed it here, that you can just quickly change what your web part looks like. Have you seen that, Joelle? Where you can just quickly change it up here without having to go to the settings panel. So you can go to settings and you have the exact same thing, but it just gives you like a quick way to do it. Anyway, let's see, I'll go add a text. Oops. And what if I just save it for draft? Oh, I have approvals turned on in this library. Dang it. I think we did a demo on page approvals. and so that's turned on in here. So I really just have a draft. So let's see if I get an email about the draft being changed without publishing it. See, that the thing about demoing this is my emails, the notification emails have been taking a while. So I'm not sure if that's going to be, how fast that's going to arrive to let us know. Okay, so then when I'm done working on this page, I would submit it for approval. And again, I set this up a long time ago. So it says it's been submitted. I can review. Since I'm the one approving the pages, I submitted it and then I'm the one approving it. Okay. And then, so the question is, do you get an email about somebody changing something into a draft? Or do you, get an email about only when it was published? Because the draft is, their draft. And then let's go look also at what the rules look like on a pages library while we're waiting to see if the email arrives. Okay, automate. Oh, it doesn't have rules on a pages library. Good to know. So you can create alerts, but not rules. But obviously you can create a flow, and I created that page approval flow already on this library. And again, pages are files, so that's why it's called a library. Okay, let's see. So, and I think that kind of answered the question about the pages. I guess we just have to see what the email looks like. And as far as getting notified specifically when it's published, maybe you could have a filtered view of only things that have a promoted state of 2, which means it's been published. Or you can have, you can't have a rule. So there isn't necessarily a way that I can think of off the top of my head to just be notified when it's been published, besides trying to create a filtered view like I talked about. But yeah, let's see if any of those emails are, oh, there's one. Oh, this is that one that I changed to critical. So I changed that one to critical and just got the alert about it. But when I changed it to critical, I was also trying to receive that rule email about it too. But I haven't received, it looks like the alert arrived before the rule. So the rule hasn't gotten there yet. Okay. Another thing that we can do, if you do need to be able to modify the way the email looks, that's when you're going to go start using a flow, because alerts and rules don't let you modify what the email looks like. So I'll just go to, you can go to make.powerautomate.com or powerautomate.microsoft.com. All those kind of take you to the same interface. And this is one way that you can start creating flows. You can just go to home. You can go to my flows and create a new one from there. You can create a new one just on the home screen. There's this new a new button on the home screen to get to it. But it's got a lot of templates here, but an easier way to create a flow is just in your list, just right here. So you can go to automate. No, sorry, they moved it. Automate flows used to be here in the automate tab, and now they're over here in the integrate. So you got Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI. So this is where you can create a flow. Now, if I click see your flows, it's just going to take me over to just this list of flows, just over in the Power Automate interface. But if I choose create a flow, this is where I'm going to have the ability to pick from one of their templates, or just pick a pretty blank template and kind of do what I want. So I can say send an email, customized email when a SharePoint list item is added. That's going to be a very common one. Send a document created using Microsoft Syntex as an email attachment. We should try that. That sounds like fun. And then start an approval when a new item is added. That's another common one. Again, I'm not going to read all these out loud, but if you want to just kind of do your own thing and not have to use one of these templates, you can also just, when a new item is added, complete a custom. Basically, it gives you a trigger and you make the flow do whatever you want. You just kind of add all your own actions. I'll go ahead and pick this first one, because that's really is the most common thing that people want. They want to be notified when something gets created. So when you're using one of these templates, it just shows you which connectors it's going to be using, and you click create flow. And something about flow is that this flow, when I create it, it is my flow. So even if I have it notifying other people, the people that are being notified can't necessarily change the flow like they can with those alerts. When you assign an alert to somebody, they can go change their own alerts. So this is created with a template. Let's see what it does. I always like looking at the templates because they're very, very good for kind of getting ideas and kind of seeing like how Microsoft did certain things. So the trigger is when a new item is created in that work progress tracker list, it's going to get the profile of the person that created it. And then it's going to do a send email action. Hi, so-and-so. A new item was added at, and it's going to tell you the date here, created. It's going to tell you by, and it's going to say the display name of the person that created the item. And then the details are going to be just, it'll just say the name, like the title of the thing that they created. And so this is going to use your Outlook connector. And the thing about the Outlook connector is great because it actually just uses your own Outlook account, and you can even see the email that it sent in your send items, which you don't get for alerts. And there are a couple of other ways to send email in Flow. So I'll go ahead and save that and just create a new item and receive the email and show you what it looks like. But we're also going to dig into a couple of other actions that exist in the Flow, like for people that maybe don't have Outlook, or you want to you want to use kind of a different connector for that. So now when a new list item is added in the work progress tracker, test, it's going to send me an email. And with a Flow, if you want the email to have, metadata, have information in it, then you have to manually add that stuff into that email in the Flow yourself. So it's not automatically going to have a lot of this information that that you get with alerts just out of the box without having to do anything extra. So I just assign something to Joelle, and that Flow should trigger. But in the meantime, let's go look at some of those other actions I was talking about. So send an email. This email is, let me show you how to get to that. That's Outlook. And I do teach Microsoft Power Automate courses at iwmentor.com. We have a basics course and an advanced course that's like 8 hours on all this. So if this is a little overwhelming, you've never seen it before, check out my training classes. So I can go to, actually I didn't mean to go to SharePoint. I meant to go to I wanted to show you the email one. So I'll show you the email, Outlook. Office 365 Outlook. And then these are all the actions that exist. Send an email is the one that's what this is using right here. Send an email version 2. And I can hear that it just arrived in my mailbox. But another action that exists is mail. And it's just send an email notification. So this one's pretty generic. It is basically just going to come. You have to click accept. It's going to come. It's going to say Microsoft Flow, or it's going to say Power Automate as the from. So it's a pretty generic email. The other one's going to be from the person that triggered it, the person that created the Flow. Depends on how it gets triggered as to who it's going to say it's from. So who am I going to send it to? I could just say I want to send it to, this is the profile of the person that triggers it. I want to send an email to the assigned to email and test. And then I can put information about like metadata from the item in here. So I'll say like, what's the title? There we go. This has priority, and then you can put the priority, the actual priority from the item. I know this is like really basic stuff for a lot of you. And so this is what the send an email notification gets you. So I left the other send an email in here, but this is send an email notification. And then you have, if you have a shared mailbox and you want the email to come from the shared mailbox, send an email from a shared mailbox. And if you do that, you actually get to pick the name of the shared mailbox here and then who it's going to go to. So that's another pretty common one that we use. But if you want a generic email that's not coming from an individual, this is also a good action to use. So I think I save that again. And let's go look at some of these emails that arrive. It's like the cooking show. I've got emails arriving while I'm doing the next demo. Okay, look at this. It's caught up with me. I've got you successfully create an alert for site pages. Okay, so the file viewer, that's that page that I edited. It had been changed. And it's just telling me all the metadata, and it's telling me the approval status is draft. So that means that it's not going to just hold back and only send me emails when it gets published. It's also going to let me know when it's in a draft state. And then this one changed, when the approval status got changed to pending, it sent me another email. And then this one is from, it says it's got low importance. That was sent from the flow. And that was like just the basic text that just comes when you when I trigger the flow. And then this is another one, and Annette added this other item called Get Lunch. Okay. And then I can see in here the 2 times that the flow was triggered. So that's something that you do get with flow. So it's another, we're kind of weighing the pros and cons. With the flow, unfortunately, it belongs to me. I haven't shared it with anybody, but there is this log of every time it got triggered. You don't necessarily have that for you don't have like a record anywhere when it comes to your alerts and your rules. So, but with a flow you do. And with a flow, I could go ahead and share this. Now, it's going to trigger every time something gets added, whether I share it with anybody or not. But if I want other people to be able to edit the flow itself, like make changes to it, add other actions to it, then I can, I'd want to share it with them. And I don't want to share it with people if they just need to be able to trigger it, because sharing it lets them actually change the flow. Like if they don't necessarily know anything about flow or know what they're doing, and they could potentially go in and break it and mess with it, you don't need to make them an owner of the flow. So if you had a flow that you were letting people manually trigger, I'll show you what that looks like. A lot of times we need manual triggers if you want someone to like work on a file and then have to click a button when it's ready to go send it for approval. If you have a situation like that, then you still don't need to make the people the owner of the flow. If you need them to be able to trigger it, you need to make them what's called run-only users. So I'll show you what that looks like really quick. I'm going to go ahead and choose Integrate, Power Automate, Create a Flow. And then send a customized email when a new file is added. Request approval in Teams for a selected item. That's a good one. I'll do that one. So for a selected item, that's the key of what I was just looking at. For a selected item trigger means that someone is actually clicking on an item and then they're triggering the flow. So I'm going to leave this kind of all how it is. Wow, that's a lot. There's a lot going on in this flow. Oh, it's asking me for some information that it didn't fill in yet. Oh, it needs to know the name of my, of what I want the approval to be called. Let's see. I'll put the name of the document. There we go. And then I'll assign that to myself. And so that's what it was asking me for, because it wouldn't let me save it until I had filled in those required fields. So again, it is way more complicated to go in and create a flow to get notified than it is to just create an alert or rule. Okay, so I've turned on the request approval for Teams. So this is what I was going to show you right here, this run-only users. So again, you make people an owner of the flow if they need to be able to collaborate on the flow with you and work on the flow itself. But run-only users means that they'll be able to trigger the flow. So if you're just putting it on the library and you want everybody that goes to the library to be able to trigger the flow, you don't have to put all their names here. I mean, you can if you only want certain people to be able to do it, but you can just go to this SharePoint tab right here and just choose the name of your list or library and add that. And that way, all the people working on the list or library can all just trigger the flow without making them an owner. So then, in order to trigger the flow, they would be going like this. They click on it, go to automate, and this is the name of that flow I just created, request approval, and then they click run flow, and then that would go through that would run through the flow. it's asking me to authenticate to all these different services. I think I hard-coded, I put my own name in there. So I put my own name in the flow instead of just using this. So it doesn't really, it's not really going to make a difference. Okay, but that's what it looks like to manually trigger a flow. And we've done other power hours where I showed you how to create a button to trigger a flow, like a button that would show in the row here. And a lot of fancy ways to do that. We have like a couple of power hours of a couple of different ways that that can be achieved. But the main point of this power hour was to show you the differences in the alerts, notifications, rules, things like that. Oh, John's saying check the version number. If it's 2.0, it's published. 2.1 is draft. Oh, okay, you're right, Carolyn. Promoted state. Yeah, you're right. I just kind of glanced at that promoted state column. I was like, what is promoted state again? Yeah, promoted state isn't whether it's published or not. It's showing me whether it's news or not, or a news link. Yeah, it's got like little codes for different things. The published is going to be the version number. So if I want to see the version number, I don't think it shows. I don't think version is going to show here. I have to go into like the old school way of editing my my view to find the version number. But we'll go look at those notification emails, like you said, and see if they say the version number on it. Site pages, file viewer. Ooh, it doesn't have the version number. It doesn't have the version number in the email. So version is not one of the pieces of metadata that it includes. So that's not very helpful. Yeah. But you could go to the actual library and go to the item and see the version number now that I've added that column. Did I add the column? I thought I added the column. Let me see. Version. Oh yeah, approval status and then version. I've got a lot of stuff in here I don't need to see though. Oh yeah, there it is. So any of them that have like a point something next to it, that's a draft, and then the .0s are all published. Okay. Any other questions about sort of comparing these different ways to get alerted or notified in SharePoint? Oh, one more. There's one more thing. One more. It's this little notification. Let's see. Not that one. Hold on. Let me go to my home page. When I go to SharePoint up here, if you click SharePoint, you go to the SharePoint main interface here, and you go to this gear, you'll have email notification settings. And that's kind of a little hidden one. And that is where you can set up your notifications for pages. So when you create pages and they have commenting available on the pages, and people make comments, they reply to comments, they click like. And so this is going to be when you create pages, these are going to, when people comment on your page or reply to comments on your page, like your page. So this, you're not going to get these for every single page in SharePoint, but your own pages, this is where you can change those kind of notifications. And they're in the pages, it's, let's see, where, Joelle, do you remember where on each page, that's where you say allow comments or not. So you can go to a page, and if you don't want to allow comments, then that's going to be a setting on each page itself. See right here, comments on. So if you don't want people commenting, you just turn it off. But these are the comments that I'm talking about that you would be alerted about. The likes and comments. Oh, sorry, I'm in the way. See, comments on or off. Okay. All right, let's go back to the main. There we go. Okay, did we? I don't want to get too in the weeds with the promoted state and the different versions of publishing pages and things. That really wasn't the point, but that was some great feedback on, you know, you'd want to get notified about pages being published. That seems like a pretty simple request. Yeah. So, yeah, thanks everybody for comment. I don't think I see any other questions in there. Oh, I missed it when you clicked to set up user can run flow. Oh, I went to in the flow itself, you go to run only users here. And in the run only users, that's where I already added, let's see, did I add SharePoint to this? You have users and groups where you can put individuals in here that you want to allow to run it. Or you, oh, I'm not sharing my screen anymore. Awesome. There's a delay, so probably like 5 minutes from now, hey, you're not sharing your screen. Let me go back. So I'm in my flow. I click run only users way down here at the bottom right. See where my cursor is. You can't see it because it's kind of hidden. And then it defaults to users and groups where you can put individuals or groups that you want to be able to run your flow. But if you just want everyone who goes to that list or library to be able to do it, this is where you can just pick it from here and click add. And then just everybody that goes to that list or library would be able to trigger the flow. Let me go back. Cool. Okay, well, thanks everybody for coming. Again, Power Hour is Wednesdays 11 Central. Sign up for the newsletter to be notified and to be able to vote on topics. Check out our training at iwmentor.com, especially if you want to learn more about some of these technologies, even SharePoint Power User level, where you can learn all about alerts and rules and things like that, and all about flows in our basics, our Power Automate Basics course and Power Automate Advanced. And check out our schedule page to find out when the next Power Hour is and our upcoming classes. And thanks, Joelle, for hanging out with me. And I will see everybody next time. Bye.